we had as many. There were nights when we had 10 people. We had 6 in here, 4 in the other van, and everything else. And we had to move it so it wasn't illegally parked, and somebody was to drive it to make sure nobody got asphyxiated or anything else like that. Had the heater in there and everything else like that. George never talks about. He was a humble man that really helped with my putting this ministry together. Absolutely sweet soul of a man, and he started with me in the park, just a concerned citizen and obviously an artist. And he came to me one morning at Muggs's coffee shop and said, "I got to do something." People were real cold.
So when you were homeless, what were shelters like?
They wouldn't let me in the shelter because of my past criminal record. Because of what I went to prison for, as you know.
Right.
Because I went to prison, I did a total of 14 years in prison.
Right.
And they wouldn't let me in the shelters at all. Which is why Father had to find me a shelter in an underground shelter that we had set up in vans. The vans used to move every day. The van parked in another spot.
What's an underground shelter?
An illegal shelter, in other words. Tell you how I met Father?
Yeah.
As I said, one morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting over here on a picnic table, eating my grinder. Father Russ walked down this hill, dressed all in black, carrying a shillelagh. That's how we met. It was just his walking stick. But I'm the only one that knew it was a shillelagh. No one else did.
You ask him what he was doing out here at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, he said God sent them.
And I got to say, this is not my ministry. Jesus' ministry. Since I came here, with 6 people right here, right where I'm sitting, what happened is the police stopped pushing out the homeless in this city. Okay, that's number one. The hospitality center. Okay, they had a shelter, kind of in a rickety old building, handling 26 people, went from out of that rickety old building into the Sebring Center where you just were, where they had 58 people last night, clean, everything else like that. It was open 3 months of the year. It is now open year-round this year. They waived for year-round. There was no such thing as a drop-in center. We were the people who were doing the services. Now they got a full drop-in center where you filmed yesterday. A movie was made on the issues, TV show on the issues and everything else like that. An organization of political group that has been organized that affected last year's council by getting out the person who didn't support us, got some people in, and this year will probably affect the council in November more than it ever had. And those people you've seen, and they're political activists in 3 years. Okay, and the organization went from a group of 6 or 7 to, we could probably put 100 in the street. As you saw today at this monument, every one of those people gave up their dinner to be here to support us.
To the cross I look, and to the cross I cling. Of its suffering I do drink, of its work I do sing. On it my Savior, both bruised and crushed, showed that God is love, and God is just. At the cross you beckon me, you draw me gently to my knees, and I am lost for words, so lost in love now, sweetly broken, holy surrender.
My name's Jerry Cornell. I'm a Christian and I'm a filmmaker. In the spring of 2006, I met Father Russ Carmichael and other members of the New London Grassroots Homeless Coalition. We began talking about a video that could capture what the group was doing on the streets of New London. What you're about to see is a year's worth of conversation, following people around with a camera as they went about their daily lives, sitting with people when they cried, sitting with people when they met, when they made decisions. What I hope to do is lay out some of the big ideas behind this discipleship community. How a group of homeless people came together, formed a family, and set out to change their world.
I know one of the attractions of this group is that we are all believers, and I think primarily most of the people involved in this group do not really know the power in that and the ability that we have as a coalition. Just the term, the political term. I mean, we have the power of God behind us. We have the power of prayer behind us. We have the power of like-mindedness behind us. And the best part is coming through the community in a place where we're starting where nobody wants to like us. Nobody wants to like you.
One important part of the New London Grassroots Homeless Coalition is that it truly is grassroots. Homeless people make decisions for themselves, with each other, for each other. They formed a board of directors. They have an organization that has all of the structure of a big not-for-profit, but they exist as a family and they make decisions as a family. The other important part of being grassroots is that there is no one that they will refuse support to. And the folks who are part of the community are absolutely some of the most damaged and some of the most beautiful people you'll ever meet.
I get from my experience being homelessness and the vulnerability that I have and the fear that I have of all that goes into that allows me to communicate honestly with the board and with the community, and not just from a provider level where, okay, yeah, I've worked in the field, but from a human level. I know pain, I know hurt, I know all the emotions that, well, at least my emotions and my experiences and my reactions. I can use that a lot just to educate people, but to listen better, and to at least make an effort not to shake my head when somebody is telling me their experience, because I've had so many people shake their head at me or somehow disagree with what I'm telling them I've been through. And I think the grassroots thing is that we don't do that. We have the grass. When you're in the grass, you're down with the shit, and you're down with everything else that's in the grass, the razor blades, the needles, and you know the smell and the taste of everything that's down in that grass. And it's a realness that we all bring to the table, that I can bring honest experience and develop new ideas and thoughts of what would work with me.
Self-determination. All my stuff has been since I was in the prison movement, it's all self-determination. Now that has to come from the individual, which is the hardest thing in the world, because your programming is totally dependent on the needs of the individuals you're serving. It's not a cookie-cutter thing.
The coalition is a lot more than talking and sleeping in your own home. It's action. They run a breakfast program in New London for homeless folks. They serve 50 to 70 people 5 days a week. They've begun an auto repair program that will hopefully train homeless vets as auto technicians. The coalition requires its members to support one another. or to support other people in the community. Father Russ is insistent. If you are blessed to be part of our community, then you have got to be a blessing to others.
Gavin.
What we're doing here is a breakfast program, okay, that basically started after Pastor Dave Hammond and I discussed the situation. We were doing breakfast at the shelter or the hospitality center. We were doing like a continental to send people out on the street and everything else like that. And Dave suggested that we do it at the church here, that we do a regular breakfast. And if I wanted to do it, he had a fund. The church had a fund called a Tinker Fund, and they had the finances to supply the eggs and the small breakfast we put out. And he asked if my staff, because he knew my staff was doing it at the other place, if we could get together and my staff do it. And I said, yeah, sounds good. While the hospitality center was open, which at that time was open from December, January, February, and March. So it would have been we were going to start in January, about a 3-month period. The doctors said that the breakfast was the most important meal, which I knew anyways. And the nutritionist said that it was a great idea because our people, because they travel all around and everything, to have them get up in the morning and just have a good basic meal, with grains, eggs, a little bit of meat and juice, was a great thing. So what happened is we stayed in doing this. When the hospitality center closed last year, well, we stayed open and we fed people all year round. I have a very good crew that's probably out there watching, and they really are a blessing. They are long-staying with their hands to the task every day, all the time. I start, my day starts about 4:30, and what it is queuing them, because I have obviously people who have some difficulty sometimes and need to be up and at them, but they are unbelievable. They are an unbelievable crew, and they're working, and their steadfastness, which is, it's what with six people who want to put their shoulder to the wheel and everything else like that, you can do as much as 300 as far as because they're always there, and they get upset if they can't make it, or they get sick or something, which happens like anybody else. But and bless you if you're watching. I know some of you are watching for the work that you do. You don't get enough recognition for what you do, but and you get yelled at a lot by Father. So publicly, I'll say bless you. Okay, but
Tell me what you guys are doing here.
Cleaning it up, painting it, and making our own little garage, doing body detailing and other things.
And what's the hope eventually? What's this going to become?
A garage,
Garage?
our own little garage for the grassroots.
So the Grassroots Coalition will have its own garage?
Yeah, doing detail work, maybe some tune-up, oil changes, little body work maybe.
You like that kind of work?
Be different. Done detailing before on inside of work of cars.
What do you like better, the kitchen or the garage?
Doesn't matter as long as it's work.
An important part of all of the work that the Homeless Coalition does, serving food and supporting people in various ways in their community, is that it pulls in the citizens of New London into the lives of the homeless in ways that they otherwise would never be involved. Through schools and churches and other community groups, and on an individual level, people are making connections with people who they wouldn't meet and would have no awareness of.
Okay, as you know, my dad, Father Carmichael, comes in with all the other volunteers, and I started coming in during Christmas in the morning sometime, during the holidays when we had off, and it was a really cool idea. And then Erin kind of like heard about it, and she was like, wow, it'd be really cool if we could start getting a lot more people, because cadets really like doing community service, and they're like seeing like results, like things that they can actually do to be productive, and we're like, yeah, this might work. So she did the work basically, and yeah, so we usually have 2 or 3 cadets in the morning?
2 or 3 cadets every morning.
And then we get here at 6, so we get up around 5:30 and come in and do stuff. So.
I think the awareness of the homeless community in New London has definitely been raised this year, even with our volunteer service here. And also at the shelter, we have a group of cadets that goes at least once a week to the shelter on Thursday nights. And just, people talking with each other about it has really brought that to people's attention. But it could always be better. Yeah, there could always be more involvement and more people that know about it.
Do you guys feel connected to the community more by doing stuff like this?
Absolutely, because if not, you just go to school and you do your everyday routine and...
Breakfast program is important for the church simply because people have to eat to survive. And part of our mission is to help people. And that's why it's important for the church. People have to eat to survive.
One important part of Father Russ's ministry is that he's a great politician. He has a local access cable TV show called Street Talk. He has worked to get candidates elected to the city council in New London. He works with local labor unions on labor rights issues. He's had press conferences. He's worked with other filmmakers on producing media to get the word out about his organization. He works constantly to get his message of grassroots empowerment out into the public, and he's a tireless advocate for people who are homeless.
Social services was gutted out of this city's infrastructure, and 75 years of knowledge was thrown away because a careless city manager who lied and built his protected budget on the back of the weakest citizens and his care are poor. Good evening, and thank you again for letting me in your home. We're Street Talk again, and with me tonight, obviously, my co-host and the vice president of our organization, Tambria Moore, sitting beside me. And tonight we have Deacon Kent from First Congregational Church, and the deacon is here, and we're going to ask him about the food program that we're doing down there. But before I get into that, I just want to say something about the vote that went on yesterday. Very, very disappointed. 81% of the voting population didn't come out. That is really terrible. You can't do anything if you don't vote. Okay, voting means power. And it's really upsetting, and the people like myself and others who are poor, if you don't vote, we're not going to get anything. And you need to vote. And I don't know how to tell you, and I don't know what to do, but people need to get out and vote if you want to change anything. Otherwise, it stays the same. So that's my pet peeve tonight, and it was very disappointing. It didn't matter which way it went. It just showed that not enough people got out, and that bothered me very much when I saw that in this morning. So apathy is ruling in New London, and it shouldn't. And if you want change, so.
I prefer to be out here. I stay at the shelter from time to time.
What makes you go to the shelter?
When I don't have heat, and it's warmer there. When it's real cold, I'll go there, But I prefer to be on the outside because it's less aggravating. I don't have to put up with any people out there that comes in there drunk or, high on crack or something, because I'm not into drugs. You got people, you ask them, they come in there, they get drunk, and they're raise holy hell.
Yeah, it's true.
Picks fights with everybody, and I don't like fights.
We're brought up with the idea of you get your own space. We have no privacy at the shelter. Our shelter's like a bunker. It's light and it's airy, but it's cot, chair, cot, chair, cot, chair.
It's a large jail cell.
We would have more privacy in a jail cell. You just would.
Absolutely,
There's no
you're
privacy
right.
there. There's no showers there. You can't cook for yourself. You can't get up at 3 a.m. and be hungry and make yourself